Hello everyone and welcome back to Strike Zone with St. Paul Saints Manager George Tsamis. Strike Zone is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the St. Paul manager questions about the Saints, baseball or sports in general, or just seek George's wisdom about life events. In this week's episode, George provides us with some team updates, including 2 new pitchers he adds to the staff. He talks to us about how good a manager Bruce Bochy is. And we learned from George what he thought about the impression by Vinny DiFazio of the President of the United States. So let's get right to Strike Zone. Well, we want to welcome back Manager George Tsamis. George, let's first of all begin with team updates from you.
Hi, how are you doing? This week we have a couple player signings announced. Obviously, we signed Mark Hamburger, who played for us, a few years ago, and he lives locally, and this is something that he's really excited to get back to playing for us. He got a chance to see the new stadium, and so he's excited about it. I'm surprised he's available, kind of like Caleb Theobar. Both guys did well in AAA, and I'm surprised that he's available, but he will come in with us and be a starter for us, and we think he'll be pretty good for us. But he's a guy that I think has a chance to get back to a major league club, and he's a guy that could be in AAA before you know it. We've also signed reliever Gene Eskett. Mike Zuzalik, he texted me about him when he was released, and he recommended him. A pitching coach in the Oriole organization recommended him as well, says he throws strikes, he has good stuff, and just got bumped out by the numbers game. So we feel he'll be a solid reliever for us as well. And Brett Harper, who we had signed, a couple months back, he is going to Mexico. He's got a real good offer down there, and the money there is a lot better, and so we will be losing him, and we wish good luck to him, and I hope it works out for him down there.
Well, let us hand to our fan questions this week. Let's first of all start with Allison from St. Paul, who says she's really excited about May 19th. Her question is what she believes is a tough one, especially considering that you were around in baseball during the 1990s strike. So what she wanted to know is, with a lot of guys from last year headed to Mexico to play, it begs the question, does the American Association pay a fair and competitive salary? She's not trying to be a rabble-rouser. She loves the league, but she's sure that some of the decisions that are going on are well justified. What she's just curious to see is what you think about that. Do you think that players have earned a big raise, and she'd be willing to pay a few extra dollars if that meant that they could keep more guys around? So go Saints.
Yeah, I agree with her, and I wish we did have more money on the salary cap. I wish the league did raise the cap some, but it is what it is. And the Mexico, when players go to Mexico, you can't blame them, because they make 4, 5, 6 times as much money down there, and it's hard for them to pass up. And or if guys go to Taiwan or Korea or Japan, the money is a lot better there, and it's just it is what it is, and we have to just stand to the salary cap. And like I said, I wish there was more money available, but I believe the average salary in our league is between $1,400 and $1,500 a month, and so it's not that much. And obviously, some guys make more, and some guys make less, and it's just the way it goes. And but again, you can never blame a player for going to Mexico, to make that money.
Are there, besides the salary, are there some aspects of things that are also paid for? So, like, would they be fed by the team? Would they have housing provided? What else? Are there perks otherwise than just a simple salary?
Some teams have host families where, players stay with a host family and don't have to pay rent. And some teams, like us, we have apartment situation where they have to pay some rent, and you're allowed to provide free housing for a few players, and but not all. You're only allowed to have free housing for a few. It's just the way the rules of the league are, and but after every game, home and road, they're fed after every game, and it's in some places nicer than others, and so it's. Like I said, I don't think you're gonna, make a lot of money playing independent ball, but that's not why you're playing. You're playing to stay in the game and do well, and hopefully get a chance to get back with the Major League club and climb your way up the minor league system.
That was a good question by Allison. Our next one is from Jenny from Chaska, who wants to know, George, you talked about former Saints last week and where they wound up. What about Alex Sogard? Do you know where he went?
Yeah, I know the Orioles signed him, and I know it was a late sign, though, and I don't see him on a roster now, but I have not seen him released, so I'm guessing they're just starting him in extended spring training is my guess. I'm really not sure, and I'm sure when a spot opens up somewhere, and I would think that they would maybe send him to Double-A or higher if when that opportunity comes up.
Alex from St. Paul would like to know if you know of any players who played in the American Association last year that made it on a big league club this season.
No, I don't think so yet. I know there's several scattered around the minor leagues and Double-A and A-ball, and but it's good though that players in our league are playing in Double-A and Triple-A, and just hope they can keep doing well and get their chance to play in the big leagues.
Joe from St. Paul would like to know, he's heard you talk a lot about on the show during the season about what a great influence Vinny DiFazio was in the clubhouse. Not only was he an amazing hitter, but he'd like to know if you think that his leadership will be the most missed part of his game.
You know what? It will be, because he's a great guy to have in the clubhouse, and he's a leader, positive energy, and funny, and guys like being around him, and obviously, when you have the year you had, and again, he's MVP of the league, it's hard to replace, but on the field, off the field, he's the kind of guy you want.
Next up, we have two questions from Giants fans. The first one is, George, I get that lots of people see Madden, Showalter, and Francona as great managers, and they are, but why does it seem that Bruce Bochy is never in that discussion? The last I knew, he's the only active manager with 3 rings, and he did it without a huge payroll. Shouldn't he be in that group?
Yeah, I definitely think so, and maybe he is. He's just a guy that knows what he's doing out there and has his players playing the game the right way. And if you look at the Giants too, it's not that they have they're loaded with superstars. Posey obviously is a superstar, but other than him, they just have some young, hungry, good players and underrated players like Hunter Pence that just play the game the right way, play hard, and that's a credit to the manager. He puts a good team out there, and they play the game the right way.
One of the things you talked about during the season was how you're looking to build a certain kind of team, and I really look at him as a guy who really gets that he's looking more at a philosophy than a superstar kind of player.
Yep. Yeah, I've said it even last year. I said it to you about our team. Maybe we didn't have all the best players, but I feel we had the right players, and you need to have the right guys, right chemistry, and because there seems to be times that anywhere, football, baseball, anywhere, you can have a team of superstars, but it just doesn't work for some reason. So I think you need to have guys that have the right attitude and play the game the right way and care about each other and are there to win.
Next from Giants fan, he'd like to know, also, George, this last weekend, Madison Bumgarner moved into second on the all-time list for guys that have homered off Clayton Kershaw. That has to grade a pitcher that on the list of guys that have hit home runs off of him, a pitcher is near the top of that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that is crazy. He can definitely swing it. And I'm a guy I'm a fan of the DH. To me, I'm not a fan at all of pitcher hitting. But I guess when he hits, though, it's exciting because he can swing it and he hits his share of home runs. So good for him. And it's just a case that most pitchers really don't hit, but he's a fun to watch all the way around.
Yes, he is. Gary from Des Moines asks of you, something you never see anymore is the odd stance that guys have at the plate, the Ricky Hendersons and the Pete Roses. Those guys had great success. Why do you think no one tries to emulate that at the plate now?
That's a tough one. It's personal preference. Guys just do what they're comfortable doing, and I don't think guys should. You should be yourself and do what feels comfortable, for you. And but those two players did have the weird stance, but they were two of the best that we've seen.
Next up, we have Craig from Cottage Grove. He says Trevor Story broke the record for home runs through the first 6 games of the season, which is 7, breaking the record held by Willie Mays and Mike Schmidt. Who is this guy?
tell you what, that was one incredible week, and to do what he did, and and I believe he was a first rounder, so I think they expected him to be a good player. Just to be this good, this fast, it's remarkable what he's done, and I think the reason he is getting his chance now is because of that Jose Reyes suspension or whatever trouble he's in, and so I think if Jose Reyes wouldn't have gotten in trouble, he would have been the shortstop, and this may not have happened yet. So talk about a guy that took advantage of his opportunity, and it's great. The major league record, that is something else to come out and hit those 7 home runs. That is very impressive.
Pretty amazing too that 4 of those games were on the road too. So you can't be claiming Colorado Coors Field had any influence on that. So
that's true, absolutely. And then he hit a couple of Greinke too. So good for him. It's a great start.
Jose from Phoenix asks, Jose Altuve tried to catch Chris Carter with the hidden ball trick. Have you ever pulled that off?
No, we haven't, but I've seen it happen, and you know what? I'm surprised it doesn't happen more either, because usually when a guy hits a double or a triple, everybody's excited about it, and you tend to just forget about where the ball is, and in certain cases, on a play with a guy hits a triple and it's a close play, whatever, and third baseman has the ball, it's you're really not just. You should be, but you're really not staring at the third baseman to see what he does with the ball. This time you'll just keep the ball, or if it's a second baseman or the shortstop, they'll just keep the ball and just try to catch you sleeping. And I don't know, at times people don't think really kindly to that. They think it's trying to show the player up, and to me, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you can get away with it and you can get somebody, then go for it.
How do you, as a player, how would you view something like that? Is that cheesy? Is it just kind of clever? How is that viewed?
It's a good question. Some people get mad about it and think you're trying to show them up, and I personally don't. But if somebody did it to us, then you pulled a fast one, and good for you for catching us napping, I guess. It's something you just don't see every day, but when something like that happens, it's really whoever's coaching third base, he's got to keep his eye on the ball, or my job is to sit there and keep my eye on the ball and see where the infielder makes a tag, make sure that ball gets back to the pitcher, and if it doesn't, you just got to watch for it.
Our next question comes from a guy who identifies himself as Old Fogey. He says, Rob Manford is trying to make baseball more interesting for younger fans. Does the sport really need to change for these millennials?
There's we've seen it this first week of the season. I was in favor of maybe doing something with that slide rule, or to protect the guys. But I don't know. After seeing the first week, changed my opinion on it a little bit. It's even getting rid of the neighborhood play. To me, isn't that against what they're trying to do? They're trying to protect the players, but then they get rid of the neighborhood play. And to me, I think that's wrong. And I think there's been a couple games decided by a slide. I wish the guy could go break it up. But maybe hit the ground first. You have to hit the dirt first before you make contact. But I don't know. I just think it's a little too much the way they've done it, and I don't know. It just kind of ruins it for me. And I hear some of these other announcers that are also not fans of it, and it's just, I don't know. To me, I just don't think it's the right thing. I wish you can break up a double play, clean, but it just I don't know. It just changes the game, and it slows it down, and there's too many reviews, and I'm just not a fan of it.
Next comes up Trey from St. Paul. He says, I know you aren't a big fan of basketball, but wasn't it cool that a team that no one expected to win, Villanova, won it all?
Absolutely. It's exciting when the underdog wins, and I actually did watch the second half of that game, and I think it was my first game all year. And it was exciting. It was nice to that was an exciting game, and what a way to the highs and lows of the games. When they tied it up with that three-pointer and they just go down and hit that buzzer beater, that's the way a championship game should be, exciting ending like that.
Well, if you were going to watch one game this season, you chose the right one to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, I watched a half of it, so maybe next year I'll get a full game in.
Next up is Mom needing info. She says, George, my husband and I have a 4-year-old. I would like him to start playing baseball, but my husband says he is too young. Who do you agree with?
I think he can always go out there and have fun and play, and if he enjoys it, you can always take him out in the back and throw with him and have him hit, and the more he enjoys it, keep going. If he doesn't enjoy it, then just wait till he wants to be out there. That's one thing that I think that when the younger kids are playing, you want them to want to be out there and playing, and you don't want to force them to play, and you want them to love it, and if they do, then just go out there and keep practicing with them. And I think that's what we all did when we were growing up. We just loved to play with our dad, and so if he loves playing, go for it.
So you go out there, Mom, and you teach him some ball.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she could too, yep.
There you go. Next up is Amelia from Minneapolis. She says, Skipper, did you say you were a big fan of fireworks? You must be excited about Friday nights at CHS Field.
Yeah, the fireworks show there, it's always exciting. It's a great fireworks show, and I've seen it for this last year was great, and obviously all the years with the Saints, the fireworks shows are great. And if you haven't been to one, you should come out and check it out because it is a real good show.
Our last question comes from L from Minneapolis, who says, George, have you seen the impersonation by Vinny DiFazio of President Obama, which I will post on the website for people to see? Isn't that just awesome? Are you able to do any impressions?
Vinny is awesome with the impressions, and he, he's done it in the clubhouse obviously before, but then I saw the video of it. And he does a great job, and he's a funny dude, and he's just a great guy to have. And myself personally, no, I'm not really into that, and I just mind my own business and keep my mouth shut and try to put the best team out there.
There you go. That's a great way to go. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us this week, George.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you next week.
We want to thank Manager George Tsamis for joining us on Strike Zone this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask to St. Paul Saints skipper, please send them to us at askgeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's askgeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give the skipper a little time to review them before we record the show. I want to thank you for joining us this week. I'm Rob Pannier, the Managing Editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we look for you next week on Strike Zone.